So you want to get a classic streamlined V-taper. There's 4 things you have to be doing, and I'm going to show you what those things are. So when I think of some of the most classic, aesthetically pleasing physiques of all time, guys like Frank Zane, Bob Paris, Chris Bumstead, Arnold, Flex Wheeler, to name a few, they all have one thing in common, or I should say multiple things in common. And those main things they have in common are what make a great classic physique or V-taper or X-frame, whatever you want to think of it as. So here's what I think makes a great V-taper. You're going to have wide shoulders up top or broad shoulders, however you want to look at it. That's going to go right down into some big wide lats, and that's going to taper off into a small narrow waist. And then bonus, if you really want to call it an X-frame or a V-taper, it goes into flaring wide quads too. So here we go. I'm going to list off the 4 things you need to be working on consistently to get that classic V-taper look. Along with telling you each of these 4 things you need to be working on, I'm going to give you specific ways that you can work these areas to really hone in that V-taper. All right, so let's go ahead and start at the top of our V with our broad shoulders. The main thing we need to do here is make sure, obviously, our shoulders are broad. So how do we do that? A lot of young guys and even older guys think that just working overhead presses, upright rows, stuff like that, the mass builders are the way to go, when I've been doing this for 20 years, and in the last 5 to 10 years, my shoulders have really taken off when I focused on spamming lateral raises and bent over lateral raises or flies every shoulder day, and even sometimes twice a week. But if you want a good general shoulder workout that I think is gonna get your shoulders where they need to be, you need to be focused on side raises. That can be with cables, dumbbells, machines, whatever it may be. Some kind of bent over fly, cable pull aparts, rear delt, pec fly, bent over dumbbell fly. You can even throw in some kind of front raise or a shoulder press to really make sure you're getting your front delts. So now the front delts don't need a lot of direct work because they're getting worked on your chest day with bench presses, fly, stuff like that. But you can definitely throw in an exercise or 2 for your front delts with a shoulder press or some kind of rope front raise, dumbbell front raise, where it may be, as long as you're spamming the lateral raises and the bent over flies more than anything. Next, let's move a little bit further down the V and talk about how we get wide lats. Now, when we talk about back or lat width, it's kind of a different thing than thickness. You know, when I was younger, you always had workouts for back width and back thickness. They kind of go hand in hand, but I'm gonna list off the exercises I think are really gonna work your width, or like more towards your upper lats, to really kind of give you that V look. These are gonna be a cable pullover of some sort. Dumbbell pullovers are fine too, but the cable pullover, I just feel I get a better contraction. I feel it more in my lats. Next, we have some kind of row variation. I like single arm variations because you can really isolate each arm a little better, get better contractions. Any kind of row variation will do here. Then the next thing we're gonna look at is some kind of upper back / trap movement. I know your traps really aren't involved in your V, but your upper back is, which is technically part of the highest part of your lats right here. I consider that part of your upper back. So we're gonna look at a palms facing down rowing option, or a T-bar row, something like that, where your palms are up here and not necessarily tucked in next to your body, because we've already covered that facet with a dumbbell row. Now we want to flare our arms out a little bit wider and pull up a little higher, and that's gonna be done with a T-bar row or a machine row with our palms facing down. The last thing you want to throw in is some sort of pull down motion, so a wide grip or palms facing, reverse grip, any kind of pull down motion. I've been doing a lot of just hanging and stretching, just finding a pull-up machine and really trying to let my lats stretch out. I've been doing that at the end of all my back days, and I feel it's really just pulling and expanding all this fascia to really just give me even more of a crazy V-taper. But again, feel free to put in some kind of pull down here to really stretch out those lats. Next, and probably the most important part to your V-taper, is a tight waist / core, however you want to think of it. You want to really get that waist and keep it as small as you can while the rest of your body gets bigger and wider around it. That's going to create just an even bigger illusion of a V-taper. So how do we do this? Well, let's start with getting your diet under control. When I say that, I mean, let's cut down on the inflammatory foods. And for a lot of people, that's going to be like grains, breads, alcohol. Some people it's dairy, anything that's going to make your stomach feel like it's pushing out after you eat. So it's going to be different for most people. Those things I just listed are generally going to be pretty inflammatory for a lot of people. So you want to try to keep it to things like your carbs need to be like white rice, cream of rice, like pulverized rice cereal, stuff like that. Some people can get away with eating potatoes. Sweet potatoes have a little more fiber in them. That's gonna make your stomach feel like it's a little more pushed out and expanded. So I kind of stay away from that. Oatmeal is gonna make your stomach feel a little more expanded. So just things that you know your body can digest quick as far as carbs. Now when it comes to proteins, chicken, fish, egg whites, those tend to digest quicker for me and keep my stomach feeling flatter. I'll have some red meat every second or third day of the week, but again, it digests a little slower. It's going to make my stomach feel a little more pushed out. Whitefish is also a good option for faster digesting carbs. Carbs, proteins. That's going to be like your cod. Tilapia is not the greatest source of whitefish, but it's very lean. That's an okay source as well. And then looking at your fats, you're going to have things like olive oil, coconut oil. Those things, like your oils, are going to just digest a little quicker than things like almond butter, almonds, stuff like that. Now again, that's a nitpicky type thing, but when we're talking about really trying to keep our waist streamlined, we want to start there with what are the foods that affect you as a person that's going to make you feel bloated and pushed out. Just kind of keep track of those things, eliminate those things as you go, and then kind of just get it down to the things you know make your stomach feel nice and flat. The next thing we want to look at is training our core and our lower back. So our abs and our lower back 3 to 4 times a week with no weight. So meaning we're not want to do any weighted ab crunches, anything where we're holding weights with on our back raises, weighted side bends, stuff like that. So you're gonna build up your abs over the course of your training just by tensing up during squats and bench press and all that. Unless somebody just came to me and was like, I want just big ab muscles, there's no reason to, I don't think, weigh your abs down with direct weight. Now, every now and then I'll go through phases where I do want my erectors, my lower back muscles to be a little thicker. So I will hold a weight on my back raises there. But when we're talking about really streamlining your waist and get it tiny, we want to work it 3 to 4 times a week with unweighted crunches, hanging knee raises, planks, ab wheel, and then just some unweighted lower back raises. All those things are gonna keep your waist nice, tight, and toned without making it appear blocky by loading it down with heavier weights like we would the rest of our body that we're trying to make bigger. The next thing when we look at training with our core is our transverse abdominis, pretty much that muscle that's required to suck your gut in. So the main way we're gonna do this is by hitting some vacuum poses every day. So I can leave a link in the description below that's got some good tutorials on how to do that. But basically, every day you're gonna take and do what I call 8 sets of transverse abdominis or vacuum training. Now, starting out, your sets may only be about 10 seconds long, but eventually you wanna work to 12, 14, 16, maybe even 20 seconds long each set. Also, the best time to do this is gonna be first thing in the morning before you have any food in your stomach. You can really pull a good vacuum at this time of day. So what a set is gonna entail here is pushing all your air out, and then trying to draw your belly button to your spine as hard as you can and holding that. Now, you can't really see it in the video, but I'm pretty much sucking my stomach in as hard as I can, and I'll attach some videos here so you can see me doing it and some other people doing it as well. But basically, you're just sucking your gut in as hard as you can, holding that for 10 seconds before you blow all that air out. Count about 5 to 10 seconds of rest, and then proceed and do it again. Blow the air out, suck your gut in, hold for 10 seconds, blow out. And again, you practice this enough over and over again, what you'll notice is that even walking out throughout your day-to-day life, your stomach's not gonna feel as pushed out as it normally is, because that TVA, that muscle underneath your stomach, is just gonna be pulled in so much tighter, so you're gonna have a tighter waist. The last thing we wanna look at when it comes to our waist training is literally wearing a waist trainer. And they sell these all over Amazon. Some people have specialty ones and all that. The main thing is just remembering to do it every day while you do cardio or while you walk around. Just trying to get this thing as tight as you can and wear it for 20 to 30 minutes at a time. And start with maybe doing it twice a day for about 20 minutes a day, and then working your way up to maybe doing it 30 minutes first thing in the morning, 30 minutes around lunch, 30 minutes midday. It's kind of a pain to remember to wear it that much, but it really will suck your midsection in tighter. So when you take it off, it's like a girdle. It's really pulling everything in tight. And the more you train that stomach in to be held in tight, the more it's just gonna create a smaller waist. Now, I will say, don't wear this thing 10 minutes before you eat or a half hour after you eat. You don't wanna have your stomach really shrunken and pushed in before you go to put a bunch of food in there, and vice versa. You don't want to try to wrap everything tight when you got a bunch of food in there already. So just be aware of when you're eating your food around the times that you're supposed to be wearing your waist trainer. So how do we build big quads? Well, it's not rocket science, but for most people, it does require a lot of hard work that most just aren't willing to do. So everybody knows the basics. You got your hack squats or your any kind of hack squat variation you want to do, your leg press, your lunges or your Bulgarian split squats, and your leg extensions. There are some other variations you can do off of that, but they're mainly just variations of all the things I just listed. So you got to make sure you're taking those things and working them as hard as you can. You know, drop sets, top sets, back off sets, whatever it may be. You're really trying to push that quad growth to the max and not just doing a set of leg extensions, leg press, leg curl, and call it a leg day. You've really got to pay attention to progressing your hack squats and your leg presses every week to get those things to flare even wider and wider and give that waist an even smaller appearance. So that's it, guys. I know it sounds like a lot of information, but if you focus on those things, working your shoulders hard, working your back hard to get it wide, keeping your waist narrow, and getting those big flaring quads, if you stay consistent with that stuff day in and day out, week in and week out, month to month, I promise you 3 to 6 months, you'll have a noticeably different V-taper. So take a picture now, see how things are looking when you do a front double, see how things look now from the front and back, and then practice these things for 3 to 6 months. Take another picture and see if you can see the difference. I hope you found this information usable, guys. And if you did, just hit that subscribe button for me. Until next time, stay swole, everybody.